Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN. Today, we are going to be talking about some Discord drama, apparently, that is surrounding the number 1 and number 2 KvK groups right now from the G2 pool or the main KvK pool, as there were words exchanged. And it's always interesting how these things start because it often feels like it's very small sparks and then people just kind of keep stoking the fire and eventually turns into something bigger, attracts more people, a lot more messages are being sent, and then we kind of get into this full blown out back and forth. And so today we have some of the usual suspects that we're going to be talking about, and as always, if you enjoy, make sure you throw us up because it helps out a lot. So for me, I think if anything, this just hypes up the KvKs that much more. Anytime you get some good competitive and friendly banter, I just feel like anytime it exceeds or goes past that is maybe when it starts to become slightly questionable. However, let me show you what we're talking about here. So these are some screens from yesterday, kind of afternoon EST my time. And I want to read some of these because I thought some of these were interesting. So Sharp starts off here, or Yama. Funny how everyone was saying that our KvK was totally Diplo win for the WB side, and that the BTX WAO was the best KvK, but now it's the opposite. Now, I'd have to go and see how many people maybe have said that on Discord or not, because I don't exactly know if there was a number of people that did and specifically typed it out saying, you know, oh, I thought this KvK was the best, but now I was wrong. It's actually this KvK. You know, anything that kind of is along those lines. So I'd have to see for that to kind of tally up some numbers. However, as we continue. So we have Paradise says, funny how Guns said that our KvK is unbalanced and WAO will win easily. This one, Pody says, RFF MD will be surprised when we ally WAO in final zone. Betrayal meta. I am drained. And this is and then Sharp says, Yama said the same here. I imagine maybe Guns said something on stream. If so, we have this one, Shiso says, Guns said WAO made the biggest Diplo win in history. Oh, again, I don't know if that was said or not. Sharp says, but after he sees 25 AL stopping AS, Guns changes his mind. Paradise says, yeah, haha. Fob says, I mean, they said that our KvK is Diplo win for the other side, but I guess now it changed. Guns was on stream saying, what is this Diplo? BTX side can't keep up at all. Interesting. When I say A2G couldn't push, oh, that was MFD. Oh, yeah, here we go. She says, let's be honest. Funny, let's be honest, your KvK is still completely Diplo win in their side. So kind of two things were said here, right? First off, people talking about how there was a Diplo win for the WB side. Again, we can look at the numbers, right? If you want to look at WB NTS, right? This is pre-zone 2, right? These numbers were pulled after Brink of War. And even though you see in purple, right, these are just the on-paper differentials. There, to me, you know, I don't look at this and say that, you know, I consider this necessarily to be a Diplo win. I did say, and I'll stay consistent with this, I do think on paper, when you're looking at the 3v3 in the final zone, not necessarily how it appears to the ISO matchups, which is basically your 1v1s that you're going to play out in a zone 2, maybe some 2v1s here and there, or continued 1v1s for the second round in a zone 3. So I look at these numbers and I think, okay, right, there's obviously a power advantage, right, which just means more total troops available. Right, could be higher average progression, strength of account, right, in some areas. Obviously, more PvP activity percentage, more engagement, more people willing to go out and fight. Okay, right? That's obviously in favor of the EIS side. You know, we look at the numbers at 100 and 200 mil, 75 more, 16 more 200, right? You got more than double at 250, about double here at 300. You know, and you, to me, I look at this and I say, okay, right, there's clearly an advantage. I don't think anyone is denying that. However, do I think that, because to me, a Diplo win, I viewed it, and again, people can have their own interpretations. How I view it is that it is a automatic victory. It is so overwhelming, overwhelming enough to be an automatic W. There's no chance. It's 100% one way. It's 0% the other way. That's how I interpret when people loosely use the term or the verbiage Diplo win. So for that, I don't see that as such, right? This isn't telling me that. But what it is telling me at minimum is that there is a good advantage, a clear advantage, right? Obviously on the EIS side. When I look at the number 2 KvK and people were looking at this matchup, I still think this matchup is, at least when we look at it on paper, is a more, I think the potential for the KvK to be more exciting and to be longer lasting and potentially more sustainable, where it's really going to come down more to tactics and strategy and IQ, etc. I think that is more prevalent in the number 2 KvK, right, which is here in 6046. But like with anything, it's always going to depend on who shows up, right? Are you going to get up to 100% of what your performance was last season? Will you fall short? Will you exceed that? All of those things will play in, right? We can only look at historical trends from the previous season and then seasons before to give us an idea on what it's going to be this season. Now, I should say this as well. Hopefully one of the things I would really like to do is once I start kind of getting back into the routine of getting, regular updates on data, is looking at how the performance of each of the kingdoms and each of the teams and players there were performing from the beginning of a KvK in statues, in the early statue, going into Zone 2 and on the Supreme Island or Gilligan's Island statue, and then Zone 3, right, kind of leading up to the final zone. So we can kind of get more of a up-to-date, accurate pool on, well, what is the projected performance output looking like it's going to be in the final zone based on previous performances leading up. I think that's something that could be really cool to look at. If you look at how the performance were in each of those areas, probably more so in Zone 2, Zone 3 is what you would use to then kind of build more of a projection idea model or estimates going into the final zone. But again, that's kind of neither here nor there. So looking forward now, right? So there's another screenshot I got. So Dark says, weird. I thought the whole time BTX and MFD camp was easy wins. And again, you look at the numbers here, and I don't look at this and say like, wow, it's so overwhelming. On one side, you have more 100 mil pluses. On the other side, you have more 200 mil pluses, 250 and 300s, right? Even though it's mainly still 7, it's plus or minus from that same number, right? Or not from the +7, but from the pool of 24, right? Just like the pool of 17, right? It's not like this all of a sudden becomes 23, right? This is 6 of 17, right? Within that 17 fit this power minimum. So again, I look at this, and again, I don't necessarily think that, to me, like 113, I think is a decent number to have more 100 mils on the WAO side. However, again, right, you have more 200, you got a couple more 200s, you got a couple more 250s, you got 3 times the amount of 300s. I mean, you can argue if those people show up, they'll make up some of that difference, right? But I do think the 113 is good enough. And I think if I recall what we might have stated at that time was that I probably would give a little bit of the edge out to the WAO team, just simply because of the number, and the number of these wasn't high enough maybe to where I'd say like it purely evens that out. But like I said, I think that the matchup is very close, and I think that's the most important thing when we look at it. So I don't necessarily see anything face value wise where I'm kind of like overwhelmingly giving it to one side or the other, right? So again, I don't necessarily consider it to be an easy win, but for me, I'm looking at the 3v3 as it pertains to the final zone and how that matchup may play out. Okay, then we get, funny how much people's opinions vary from Dark here. You better don't lose this season with the Diplo win. You did. That's what Yama says from Echo. The important part that we should take away is there's only 2 contested zones, right? Echo, even if you want to consider this like a 55-45 or 60-40, right? It is still split, right, for the most part, between Echo and WB. The only other zone 2 that saw any action right, was down here between NTS and Rage. And that one is still going on, right? Even though Rage has probably like 70-30, maybe 65-35 on territory, right? It is still split. So nobody really won their zone 2. So that, I guess that line there doesn't really make a lot of sense to me from Dark. I guess when I think about the zone 2 portion, where was I here? On the zone 2s. Where was I? Oh, did I go too far here? On the zone 2. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, you mean the double where you all won both zone 2s. Yeah. So again, I guess I should take that back now. Yeah, now that I think about that, that technically would be wrong. Why would I say got him? I feel like I'm after like it's like I knew how the zone 2s played out, but it's like I had to go and rewatch it just to recall. So yeah, I guess maybe that wouldn't work out then exactly as I was said. Then we go to the next one, right? Double win is there. Don't even try to hide it. Then if we won zone 2 and got spanked by 25 IL, it's a skill issue. So for me, I think with the things about the Diplo win that people are referring to, right, when we look at this, is that people will talk about how EIS basically did like Echoes 1, right? And then it's like they went 2, 3, 4, right? And as far as ranks for the kingdoms. And then you'd look at 5 and 6. So Echo basically is like working with 1, 5, and 6, where the other team is 2, 3, 4, right? Just for some context there on how some people might be viewing that. Didn't you go into that season with pre-selected allies, WB, and Rage? I wasn't following that KvK much. Maybe Diplo lost for A2G. Yeah, so their fault. Then I just didn't see it as balanced if all sides were okay with it. Then it is what it is. It's fair in numbers, but not in IQ. Touche here by Yukin. I think this is fair to say when it comes to that you can't really. It's hard to quantify, right? It's hard to kind of assign that without having some kind of historical reference and trends that you would go off of from watching matches and maybe assigning a PvP rating number as an example to certain teams on how they performed in the previous season, what the projections looked like coming into the season with maybe who they lost, who they added. You know, like you'd really have to do a decent deep dive there to kind of come up with something like that in order to provide either a scale or some kind of a scale, right, to where you can assign a number in that way. But I do think it is a good point to bring up that it is one of those intangibles that will play a factor, right? And that's kind of what we talk about when we think about tactical play, strategic play. You know, how good is your micro? How good is your intellect on the field? Your adjustments that you can make. How are you able to compensate? How are you at adapting, etc. We don't want to hear from Dark about Diplo. Wait, so we Diplo win, but 25AL spanks EIS Rage and WB lost Hydras. I thought it was a Diplo win for MFD BTX RF side, but only with the info I knew about the teams outside paper numbers. Dark says typical Echo logic. Echo did say them teaming up with BTX a couple seasons prior wasn't a Diplo win, so can't really take them seriously either way. And it's funny because people talk about that, and then they'll also in the same breath talk about what happened last season with BTX. How it was just kind of like this underperformance. And then people have also referenced that they're wondering if that may happen with YSS, who's in, I think they're in G3 right now, and they've been there for a while. Some people have said that they're in kind of an easier KvK right now, or kind of an easier gen kingdom pool, and that, you know, would probably be better for them to work their way over to G2. Again, either way, it does make you wonder if I don't want to say like the BTX curse, but like if the BTX hurdle will find other teams like that. You know, it's almost kind of like you've been out of like the tier 1 league or like the top league for a while because you're playing in like the number 2, number 3 league, right down the branch or down the ladder, and then eventually you come back up and you make it into the number 1 league, and it's like a totally different environment. I almost wonder if that kind of effect might happen, or be kind of more in line of what I think people are referring to. Dark just says, I know it's funny. I know it's just funny to point out. Next one we have here is, yep, you Diplo win, but you didn't expect us to be too good. Us equals Echo and TS25. They believe if they say something often enough, it becomes true. Echo did say them to me, is BXS and some, okay, get ready to get, jeez, Yama, get ready to get zone 1 lock, jeez. Do we just always call Diplo win, even though the data looks balanced and the problem is just one alliance sucking? Very nice. I mean, listen, I think the first half of this is on point, right? Where we can't just call something a Diplo win when the data and the numbers do not support that. And if you don't have anything else that is credible, and I'm not talking about you just saying, oh yeah, I saw the Kingdom or Alliance play last season, their PvP was on point. I saw the other Alliance play and their PvP was not on point. I'm giving it to the one where I say it's quote unquote on point. Like, that doesn't do anything for me. Those are just words, right? Like, if you can really get in and break something down where you can assign a realistic, incredible value to it, then okay, right, then we can start having a conversation. However, I don't usually see people articulating themselves in that way. It's most of like, ooh, I saw them, they're great. I saw the other team, they're bad. Okay, GG, no re. And then they just keep it pushing. That doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. So again, I think this is accurate, right? When you have to kind of look at what's realistic, what's not realistic to go off of. It's PB Killer says, it's always Diplo win. You just switch the Diplo win side depending on who ends up winning. I mean, listen, man, PP's spin some logic right here. I will say it feels to me, the water temperature in the room is that I see people sometimes who are using this. I'll see posts, not people, but I see posts where people will loosely use the kind of Diplo win. Now, some people mean it, some people are just joking. And I I think that this is pretty spot on when you think about how flippant some people can be to kind of go from one side to the other or use the terminology in a way where it's either before or in, as this is post is mentioning and referring to, sometimes after, right? Things have already happened. Because I think one of the easiest ways to look at this is what happens when, for example, if EIS ends up winning in the #1 KvK, will you see more people referencing that it's a Diplo win? Probably. Doesn't mean everyone will, but do you think that the word usage will see an uptick in it being thrown out there? Sure. I think that's fair to say. On the other hand, if Echo wins, if the Echo team wins, then I don't know if you're necessarily going to hear the word Diplo win. I think it's going to be more of like people saying like a David versus Goliath, the kind of underdogs one. I feel like that's a little bit more of the storyline and some of the language that you might see used. And that's just because on the other side, the word Diplo win is being right. Even though I don't think it should be, I don't think that's a fair assessment. It's just the fact that people in the community are using that. So it's kind of like, well, what's the opposite of that, right? It probably might be something along those lines. The next one, Dark says the KvK has gone exactly as I expected so far. The only question for me was if Rage or NTS won, and I saw it as either could win it, and either way would be close. And I think for me, my view on this was I actually thought that the NTS Rage was going to be close. I actually was going to give it to Echo against WB. Like, that would have been my edge. I don't know if I would have went into that thinking this is going to be a 50-50. And I think fairly put, because I just think like everyone has to kind of prove it, right? I think Echo's kind of at that level right now where you have to prove it that you're going to be able to either hold on. And obviously it depends as well, because I think when you look at zone 2s, you also have to keep in mind, right, which is appropriate to kind of put a little asterisk there, is how hard are the kingdoms going to go in zone 2? When final zone is obviously more valuable and it's probably more worthwhile, something where they're prioritizing that a lot more than a zone 2. Maybe they don't want to go as hard, right? Maybe NTS doesn't care too much about trying to push back and retake more of the territory. Maybe Echo doesn't care too much about wanting to continue pushing past the bridge to try and take the entire zone 2 from WB. And then maybe on the same side, maybe WB doesn't want to continue trying to push or regain territory. Maybe Rage doesn't want to all in, right? Because everyone's basically prepping for the FZ. So I think timing, and there's other, it's not as black and white. I guess that's what I'm trying to say, right? There is some gray area here too as well. So Then we go, yeah, I guess so. Virgil says next time every KvK should let Dark make the Diplo. He sees beyond the data. Dark says, so the results aren't really shocking to me. Joker says, I mean, their KvK is shaping up to be the best one currently. I mean, listen, you know, if Shiso is talking about how the number one KvK, the fact is that the number one KvK is absolutely shaping up to be the best right now in this season. And that's simply just because all of the kingdoms are making it to the final zone. Don't get it twisted. That is the number one reason. Everything else beyond that is secondary. The fact that they have had enough time to heal up or had enough time to do a decent amount of healing. No one overly exerted themselves in a zone 2 and much less a zone 3. So, I mean, listen, I feel like everyone is going in pretty fresh, if not fresh, into the final zone. And that alone, for me, is hyping up the number one KvK. I'm so excited. I can't wait, which, you know, hopefully we plan to stream to as well in the evening EST time. So the next one, Sharp says, expected to get smoked by 25 AL. Crazy take there. I mean, listen, man. I mean, Dark left the door open on that one. You know, I mean, I'd be shocked if someone didn't take a stab there. Oops, hang on. Where's the next one I had here? Dun, 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 dun. Here we go. So for this one, give up zone 2. We will see how much that stamina buff helps in the final zone. Ooh, shots fired. You blaming that on WB2? That's like a crazy person saying he won a 1v5 statue because everyone left and he is at the portal of one of the 5 teams. I probably would have had to watch that one on excuse me, on that statue iteration. Let me see, Memphis, what do we have here? Yeah, but weren't they getting pushed in zone 3 by both MFD and BTX? Akiyama says we were everywhere and you look like noobs walking random because scared. I will say this. It's always nice when you get players from both sides of a kind of banter that's happening. And it isn't just one-sided or it's like nothing's being reciprocated and it just feels like someone's kind of yelling from the rooftops with a megaphone. It's just nice when you have someone to kind of go back and forth with, right? No. We pushed our right zone 2, the one A2G at day 1, even though we agreed on not building there, by the way. The only Dark says, only thing I'm getting from this conversation is Echo Side won all statues, is the better team, and should win the KvK. I mean, it might be a loose-ish take, but okay. Friend with moves who will be doing okay. So much for the Diplo win pitch. Yeah. I mean, I again, as I said, I kind of agree there. As we stated previously, I just don't think that, you know, really comes down to it being a Diplo win. Outside of it being I think a clear advantage, I don't see it as being an overwhelming or just like an insta-win advantage. Also, Sharp says, also was funny to hear Dark crying on VC. Wait, that happened? I didn't hear anything about that. Anyways, don't lose with your advantage. Wouldn't want to be embarrassed so badly if I were y'all. Ooh. Okay. It's a little spicy. From his member streaming, Not was on the left giant. They had the whole zone 2 to work with. They had a full zone 2. Enjoy your gaslighting. You should go hear Dark War leading yesterday. Where's this? Did Echo Team get all the statue, by the way, for stamina? No, WB got one because Rage was feeding them points. It was really close, though. All I know. And then somebody, Hyper, posted the screenshot, saving for the future. Amanda Mandudu says, how's your PvP? Dark says, yeah, looks like we're going to beat Echo. Looks good. I'm going to be honest, I don't know. Usually it's supposed to go like down, right? Unless it's being quoted. So like the positioning here on the screen is interesting, I'll just say. However, we could easily just search that, right, to check as well. Farming is in one all season that don't even fight in the open field. You will see. Dark says you're going to apologize when it's all open field fights. Ooh. More direct. More direct now. More direct. It's building up. I doubt it. I'm sure you'll find another way to cry. My man is just, you know what I mean? Like just all over there. It's just splattered all over the face. I'm talking about what you always show to us. Not my fault. You play like a rat. When is final zone? A 10-10. Okay, Dark, one question if you don't mind answer. Who you think are likely to win this KvK? You or Echo? Where is it? On Friday. If you actually look at the map, you'd see it's open field. Oh, wait, hang on. Here it is. Okay, Dark says, I think it's truly 50-50. It's whoever loses more sleep plays the hardest. I mean, I would like to believe that there is some tactical, strategic, IQ plays, right? Some intellect and intelligence that can go into this as well. But I understand for the most part, right, where it's going. Okay, but Dark thinks it's 50-50. That's awesome. Here we go with the propaganda. Oh, hang on, where is it? NTS comes bottom side. Tinsy says, as far as I'm aware, alliance. Okay, no, hang on, where am I looking at here? Oh, here we go. So does EIS Enrage, so no one has bottom chokes. If you looked at the map and had a brain, oh jeez. Are we already looking for excuses, or what is that right now? Yama, what chokes are we gonna fight at? I want your expertise. Near the dragon with 20 bastions from south, I bet. Also, is he's referring to the choke going into going into like the dragon circle or the dragon sanctum, if we want to like sound super cool. You said you were embarrassing, hinting saying you're shite. Well, hang on to the question. You guys were low on numbers, wasn't performing well. Due to that, and you will focus on NTS Classic Noob. Dark says, so 25 and Echo is going to let us focus on TS. I mean, okay, yeah, touche. Thanks for the insight. Yeah, nothing. Echo 25 going to fight Echo. Final zone, I could tell. I'm saying your plan, not ours, since you are more close to the south side. So I think what they're referring to, right, and this is if we kind of look at this, right? So, hang on, where's EIS? I need to find this. Wait, no. This should be over here, right? No, where? Here. Yeah. So, right, 25. Sorry, EIS up here. Okay, WB's there too as well, right? But EIS is. Oh no, they should have been middle. Oh, I see. They just went from the zone 2. Yeah, so they've built here. Okay, so they're not good. Yeah, they're entering up here. It looks like closer to the Echo side than it seems, and WB is over here. So if you look here, right, and I go in just from, because again, it's most likely going to be the same, right, going in from one or the other. If I follow this region all the way around, right, we follow the mountain, you can see for yourself that there's a level 4 spire. If I zoom out, it's right there, right? So you have to go through the spire first. There's no other way to go around, right? So it's kind of like your opening choke, if you will, right? Okay. If we go to the next one, I'm going to go all the way up here, right? Now, there is a level 4 spire over here, right, that will adjacently connect. However, you still have to find a bridge, right? Now, the first opportunity to do any fighting between the Echo side and here is going to be basically going here to the kind of inner dragon area, right? So you have to come out of the choke in order to do anything. And I believe that's kind of just seems like it's how they built it, right? It's basically where these level 3s are, right? So you see these level 3, oh God, I'm already forgetting what the name of them are. Again, the Citadels, thank you. So, right, you got choke here, choke here, choke here, choke here, right? And then the same here, right? Citadels are placed in front of the chokes. I mean, they've done this, I think, for a couple seasons now, the way they've done it, even if there have been some map overall territory improvements. But it's all going in a circle, right? It's kind of designed that way intentionally. So, right, the only chokes you're really going to be hitting, if you're thinking about it for the first one, is going to be the level 3 Citadel choke before you get to the middle, right? And then the way they've kind of designed this is where they've kind of broken it up into 3 sections. So you have a section here, a third, and a third. And then you have, it looks like 2 wider chokes between the river gaps, right, on the north, southwest, and southeast here of the tree. Or, oh gosh, sorry, what is it? The sacred tree? I'm always forgetting what the name of this tree is. What's the name of the tree? I have to click on this, right? Where is it? Portal. No, it's supposed to tell me where it takes me, right? Crap, what's the name of the tree? I forget. Anyways. Wait, can I just click on this? Shen-Chi. There we go. Right? Probably forgetting that. But so, hopefully that makes sense with where we're at right now. So again, maybe he's just referring to, which I don't know why, because EIS is coming from here, it doesn't look like they're coming from anywhere else. So I don't, unless they have something over here. Oh, they do. Never mind. So I guess he is right on the southern part there. So maybe he's referring to this one at the level 3 Citadel, but you still have to walk all the way around here if you want to potentially get over to the NTS side, right? So you kind of have to consider that. So maybe that's what it is. It's like parking it right here or trying to come over here and maybe spawn camp the choke, if that's possibly what he was referring to. However, that's neither here nor there. That's what we got today to hopefully hype you up a little bit more for the number one KvK group. It's going to be exciting. And I think no matter what, World Chat is going to be awesome. It's going to be Liddy Biscuits on point. And I can't wait to see how Discord continues to get fired up and provides us with potentially endless content. So as always, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. And who do you think is going to win? Is it going to be the EIS team? Is it going to be the Echo team? Who are you rooting for and why? Let me know. That's it for us. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.